Short story by Sinksma. Summary. After a night of zero-gravity training, Izuku and Ochako find themselves out after curfew with a thunderstorm quickly approaching. While repressed feelings linger beneath the surface, the cold creeps up on them and taunts their never-ending anxiety. But even with the cold, the two hero students can't help but save each other again, and again, and again. If you like heavy angst and other mental health issues, then I recommend you to read this story by Sinksma. Equals 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 dot. Electric sparks, green and thunderous, ripple through the air with each strategic movement. A gust of strong wind sweeps against the gray concrete. Another, hard and fast. An echo of howling wind rattles throughout the training facility. Again, and again, and again, with each blow, the speed picks up, and the air blows out once more. Ochako's bangs whip back just as he loses control. Whoa. Spread yourself out just like we practiced. Cancel out the momentum. As he flails his arms back, another gust of air sends him spiraling up towards the ceiling. I can't. Oh no. Hold on Deku. Without hesitation, 5 fingers on each of her hands tap together, releasing the zero gravity and sending Izuku falling from the ceiling at an alarming speed. Mental calculations, how fast she needs to run, which angle to approach it all, blitz through her mind as she moves. Her body flies forward and jumps, canceling gravity on herself in the same motion. The air soars past her as her weightless figure flies and meets his falling form. With little strain, they are weightless and floating off to the side. Just as fast, they are back on the floor, collapsed in a heap. Maybe incorporating such a high percentage of his quirk in their zero-gravity training hadn't been the best of ideas. You okay? She chuckles, trying to cover her obvious smirk. He looks a little rattled, his hair somehow wilder than it usually is, and his UA tracksuit all disheveled. But soon enough, a smirk appears on his lips as well, and he too is laughing at his misfortune. Might have put a bit too much into that one, huh? Deku. She fails to suppress a laugh. Ya think? His scarred hand comes up to scratch the back of his neck. Yeah, not my most gracious move. Tonight marked their 3rd week training with her zero gravity, and progress has most certainly been made. However, he is still far from perfect at maneuvering midair. He's way too stiff, robotic even. She has a feeling it has something to do with his reliance on big sweeping attacks. Her theory is that his wide motion is what leads to the overcompensation whilst changing direction up in the air. She would let him know, and they both would make a note to work on that in their next session. Which, likely, will be the next day. Ever since All Might had asked her privately to keep up the gravity training with Izuku, it's been a somewhat daily routine for them. A few hours before curfew they would come out to the training gym and practice. What they were practicing for exactly, that still wasn't clear. It's not like she would have ever declined to train with him. She enjoys her time with Izuku, very much so. She honestly looks forward to it. In fact, she even improves her own abilities in the process, so it's a win-win. But still, it is kind of odd training him for something she's not even completely sure of. She assumes that he wants to use his power to move through the air like All Might was famous for doing, using the force of his punches and kicks to fly. So naturally, he needed to work on maneuvering off the ground. Who else better to help him with that than her? Promoted stories. You'll also like. Convicted Hearts 4090 like my other story but ILI longer. Feelings. Izawa. Ex-reader 57.4K 1.3 KRE posting. This intel I edited, sorry if it's not good, it's my first time writing a story. You enroll at UA and you have multiple quirks you are really good at using, why? Her prince from the underworld, half demon is. 0.26.3K 462. It's basically the same story as my succubus Momo X Deku story. I know, real original, but hey, now you guys get a Deku from the other side of the tracks. Finished. 28.6K 508. Tilde he save all of them, just a smile plastered on his face before disappearing through the wind. Much needed love. Yandere succubus Momo X Izu. 52.4K 834. After Wattpad had decided to delete this story out of nowhere, I and many reader were distraught. So I'm making a remake of the story from the ground up to compensate. Return of Mokuten discontinued. 3.5K 45. This story is officially up for adoption. If anyone is interested, message me or comment on the story. Free. Oni Shots 150K 3K. This is a collections of free X-readers. Requests on this are now closed. See, that is all fine, but the thing is they didn't outright tell her that. It was odd at first, she pretty much had to figure it out herself without them saying anything. All they did end up telling her was something about Izuku having a higher output, which meant learning more control when jumping around. It all seemed so vague and secretive. She had decided back then that she didn't need to question it any further. There was no real point anyway, but her curiosity does get the better of her at times. She supposes she could just ask him about it, but would he even be comfortable sharing? There must be a reason they were so vague to begin with. I think that should be good for today. No. Looks like it's getting pretty dark. His voice comes from across the gym at one of the benches. Might just be the clouds though. Stretching her arms above her head, she walks over next to him to grab her small gym bag as well. Yeah, we should probably get back soon. I heard there was gonna be a storm tonight. Don't wanna get caught in that. She would drop it. No need to make things weird. If they were vague in the first place, there must be a reason, and she trusts them enough to stay in the dark. That's fine with her. Don't need Mr. Izawa berating us for staying out past curfew and getting soaked. Definitely don't need that. Slinging her bag over her shoulders, her mind lingers a bit on his words. Wait, it's already past curfew. He spins around with his eyebrows raised. Yeah, only by a few minutes though, so I think we should be fine. He turns back around and begins walking toward the exit, but Ochako's feet don't seem to budge. No, they stay planted firmly on the cement floor. Oh no, eventually, she finds it in her to race forward and meet his stretching figure. She quickly matches his walking pace and looks over at him nervously. So, remember when Iida was telling us about that new anti-curfew door that he asked Nezu for? His mind seems to scan his memory before drawing a blank anti-curfew door. Yeah, you know how Iida gets. Remember after Kaminari and Siro got caught outside the week after New Year's? Oh yeah, he chuckles. They were throwing supercharged batteries in the sky with tape. That was funny. Yeah, her half-hearted chuckle dies quickly. Well, remember after that, Iida went to Nezu with plans for increased curfew security. One of those things included His pause in walking signals he finally remembers. Great. Now they could freak out together at least. Crap. The palms of his hands smack against his forehead, the auto-locking doors. And the elevator security cameras. And the ones pointed directly at all the doors to the building. By now, they both are frozen in place. Things couldn't have gone any worse. Not only is it supposed to rain, but now they have no way of getting into the building in a conventional method without tripping the alarms. And of course, her room is on the other side of the building, so she couldn't even float up to her balcony without crossing the path of the cameras. Maybe she could float over the building, but even then she had just done hours of training with her quirk and it will most likely lead to her barfing all over the place. Not to mention she is fairly certain her balcony door is locked. We should probably start back. His voice comes out as a sigh. If it's gonna rain, we might as well stay dry while we are getting lectured. After a sigh of agreement, the two start out of the gym and along the road towards Heights Alliance. The clouds above, gray and full, loom over the pair with an aura of unsung punishment. The street lights seem brighter than usual under the cloudy sky, which only makes the abyss above appear even more threatening. All they harbor is rain, but somehow it feels as if the clouds want to plummet to earth, crash right on top of Ua, and flood the grounds with endless amounts of water. Yet the two of them walk underneath the streetlights without much care. A laugh, a chuckle, an elbow to the side, the warm yellow lighting shields them from the threat above. Perhaps the lights aren't actual shields. But still, a little rain doesn't seem all that important in the grand scheme of things. Even though they probably should, they don't attempt to rush back. They're already late, and tired, and honestly, in Ochako's humble opinion, what's the deal with curfews anyway? So early and for what? When we're pros we're gonna be doing ridiculous hours anyway. I mean look at Aizawa sensei. Why do we have to be forced into containment like wild animals? Well, maybe she is a little ticked off. On top of being tired, hungry, and a little nauseous from using her quirk so much. So yeah, maybe the night has been just a bit of an annoyance. Annoyance. It's funny how his chuckle lightens her mood almost instantly. You know, Uraraka, I think it's less about us being wild animals and more for the state laws on hero trainees getting a certain amount of sleep. It's Ua. If they don't follow those rules, then who does, you know? Damn Izuku and his rational thinking. You know, that was meant to be a rhetorical question. This time he lets out a harder laugh. I'm sorry. It just sounded like you wanted to know so badly. She quickly falls into laughter alongside him, giggling a bit at his comment on Aizawa's sleep schedule, and how one day they would all be carrying around yellow sleeping bags with juice pouches. The mental picture of Todoroki in a sleeping bag is enough to send her. It's times like this that make her remember why she loves being here so much. Of course, she has her dream. Provide an easy and happy life for her parents, who, as they spoke, continued working hard for her sake. As she's been here, she's realized her dream has always been saving those people. Saving those parents, those teachers, those heroes who sacrifice their well-being for the sake of others. Being that person who brings a smile to the face that so often lacks one. It may be a bit cliche to most, but it is her true feelings. She wants to help people, to make them feel safe, to help the heroes that are too busy to save themselves. But even with her dreams and aspirations, when she had first applied to UA, she was completely prepared to focus on her hero training. Friends be damned, she had thought. It was almost silly looking back. But still, it had been so clear to her. She wasn't going to take for granted the opportunity her parents gave her. It's easy to remember the countless nights she had stayed up doing crunches on the floor of her small bedroom, floating upside down for 30 seconds or so at a time, puking all over her floor at 3 in the morning. Any real social connection was supposed to be an afterthought when she came to UA. All she had wanted was to work, work, and work at her goal. But when he saved her from that robot, Uraraka, shooting up her head to the sound of his voice, she looks over to his shadowed face watching her. I'm sorry, I drifted off there, haha. The feeling of his eyes lingering on hers for more than a short moment is enough to make her suddenly feel extremely self-conscious. Deep patches of heat make themselves known on each side of her face. The rising warmth is noticeable in the cool air. It was nothing, he laughs off, looking forward and sighing. Just wanted to thank you again for helping me with this. You really didn't have to. And now you're gonna get in trouble because of it because of me. Maybe I can talk to Aizawa and try to explain. I'm sore. Hey, don't do that. Her voice cuts him off and surprises him. I don't like it when you blame yourself like that. We both lost track of time. It's not just on you. You. His silence tells her that he isn't going to contest the point, which is a relief. Izuku tends to be harsh on himself, and that isn't her favorite thing. Especially since it's like he is blind to what she so clearly sees in him. She shakes her head. Besides, if I wasn't there, who else would save you from spinning out of control? Her words get their desired effect as soon as he chuckles, the laughter ending with another sigh. You're definitely right about that. Right. She lightly punches his arm. Plus, I love training with you. It would never be a burden. Trust me, even if we do get in trouble, it's not the end of the world. He agrees with another bit of laughter and they continue. After a few moments, she notices that he has gone a bit silent, a comfortable silence, but still silence. Silence. Her mind can't help but think that he's still beating himself up. And yet, she stays silent as well. The faint tint of red, now nearly invisible thanks to the disappearing street lights and dark clouds above them, keeps her heart at bay. She wrestles with her inner consciousness, asking what she can say, what she can do, if she can do anything to help him. Who protects the heroes when they need protecting? The last time she asked herself that question, she jumped with zero hesitation, wrapping herself around him, around tendrils of sharp black energy that had been snapping like electric eels in still water. No regard for her own well being, only caring about his. about his safety, about his life. So where is that tenacity now? Where is that mindless reaction that allows her to accomplish even the most impossible of goals? Is it the lack of that terrifying shriek of pain as he cried out in agony, pleading for his quirk to stop? Is it the lack of danger? The lack of imminent, immediate danger that makes her lose her edge? Or is it that she still can't get past her mental boundaries? The feelings she's worked so hard on pushing down, still bubbling up inside of her, refusing to just go away. The abyss above them seems darker than before. There are only a few lights left that are spaced out along the road. The patches of darkness in between feel frightening. It starts with a single drop. Then a few more. There's a gentle tap across her exposed arms, her tank top providing very little coverage from the rain. Another. A couple more. She shudders from the chilling sensation, but suddenly it all stops. The feeling of warm fabric covers her bare shoulders and a glance to her left shows her the culprit. Izuku, who has taken off his jacket and wrapped it around her, now moves awkwardly beside her. She watches as he seemingly contemplates something, before quickly stepping ahead of her, blocking her view of his face. D-Deck, we should hurry. His voice is clear, it's gonna start pouring soon. She finds herself unable to verbally respond, so instead, she chooses to quietly mumble an agreement and quicken her pace to try and keep up with his. They walk, and the rain falls around them. The warmth of his jacket is nice, but as she curls into it slightly, her mind seems to shake her from the flustered trance. What are you doing, Ochako? What is she doing? Did she not even have the ability to protest him giving up his jacket? Now he is the one getting wet, doing something for her once more, and still, she can't even thank him. Gods forbid she makes a fool of herself in a flustered mess. He is obviously beating himself up. She knows Izuku. In any other situation, if they were caught out in the rain, he would have offered her his jacket. But he would never have just wrapped it around her and offered no opportunity for protest. No, that is an Izuku who feels that it's the most he can do to try and make it up to her. To try, even if it was something small, to atone for what he thinks is his fault. Fault. Don't leave it like this, do something. A few more feet and they will likely get seen by the camera. A few more feet and they'll be in trouble, and then Izuku will blame himself even more. She needs to move, to come up with something, anything. The rain picks up. They both will be soaked at this rate. She needs to be even faster. That tenacity, that feeling, that burning ember grows inside her. She looks up to the side of Heights Alliance and notices the balconies of the boys' rooms. That's it. She just hopes he keeps his door unlocked. Deku, stop. Her command is met, although with confusion. Izuku freezes and turns with bewilderment to see her running full speed at him, a determined look flaring in her eye. You Uraraka, trust me. She looks down at her hands and determines she has just enough energy left from training to accomplish the task. She bites back that lingering nausea from before. She can handle this, she's dealt with much worse. Mental calculations fly through her head. The correct trajectory, the amount of force needed, all set in stone within seconds. Rain begins pouring down right as she reaches him. Her hands remove the gravity from them both, and in one swooping motion she is in the air and he is in her arms. Arms. The wind whips around them, and the rain only seems to get stronger as they reach their apex. A gust of wind on her left, rainfall smacking her in the face. No bother, she has compensated for it all. Out of the corner of her eye, through tired concentration, she picks up on his blushing bewilderment. Her inner cheek stings as her teeth sink in that familiar bubble from within her stomach fights to explode out of her mouth. Not now. She needs to focus on her landing. Thankfully, she remembers his room number in the heat of the moment, at least she hopes. For if not, they will have landed at the balcony door to a random classmate, most certainly confusing them and causing a huge commotion. Commotion. She is correct though, and with an awkward spin, they land lightly against Izuku's glass door. In a tired huff, Ochako releases her quirk, and gravity kicks back in her nausea gives one last push before subsiding, and just as they are about to collapse, Izuku's balance helps to stabilize their shaky landing. They stumble for a second, but soon enough, she finds herself panting lightly in her friend's arms. They lean against his balcony door, and she fails to hold back a chuckle at the absurdity of it all. Without realizing it, soon enough Izuku is following her in disbelief. You Uraraka, are you okay? Swaying slightly, she stands upright and gives him as large a smile as she can muster. I'm fine. Fine. That was crazy. Izuku looks at her in earnest. I was gonna say amazing. Amazing. With the timing, the feasibility, and the confidence, Ochako once again proves that she is simply amazing. Saving him from a problem he created. Being better. It's all his fault. He's the reason they were out training in the first place. He had assumed that being a little late was fine, careless as ever. He'd even checked the clock before his last attempt. He could have prevented being late by just having an ounce of foresight. But he didn't, and it's all on him. He isn't strong enough. That's why he needed help with his quirk in the first place. He's the one who dragged Ochako into this from the start. She should be livid with him. He could feel it in the air as they were walking. She'd gone quiet, closed off. The tension between them was so thick he couldn't bear it, and then she had reassured him, berated him for blaming himself, lightening the mood even though he knew she was angry at the situation. She should be angry at him. But no, She's laughing, and her eyes are staring right at him. Even better, they aren't looking away, and he isn't shifting his gaze either. What is this? This beauty, this infinity. Even in the relative darkness, he can't help but notice the shine of her brown irises, somehow glistening from behind the curtains of her wet hair. You're standing out in the rain. Get inside. His hands seem to have more sense than the rest of his body, as they find the handle to his balcony door rather fast. He slides it open and they both stumble and fall into the room in a jumbled heap. They collapse on the floor, crashing into the corner of his bed frame on the way down. Their eye contact, however, doesn't break with the movement. The floor is soft beneath them, and it's easy to ignore the sting on his side as he looks further into her eyes. He becomes lost in them, eternally swimming in their hazel waves. It's her blinking that reminds him of their position. Suddenly he becomes acutely aware that he's gripping onto her body, still holding her from their impromptu balcony jump just moments ago. He flinches, letting go of her arms and shifting back ever so slightly. But his eyes remain on her, even as they squint from fear that he had crossed some boundary. They can't look away. They keep staring, deeper and deeper, their intricacies proving to be incredibly intoxicating. Ochako must regain consciousness first because, without much warning, she jumps up from the floor and runs back to the balcony door. She slides closed, shutting out the wind and rain that had been blasting into his room. He can hear her sigh with relief as the noise mutes. Turning around, she leans back against the glass and bursts into quiet, nervous laughter. I can't believe that just worked. I'm glad the door was unlocked. That would've been pretty bad, huh? He smiles. Mentally, he notes that it seems they are going to ignore whatever that prolonged eye contact was. He's thankful. There's no way he can handle anything other than simple ignorance. A small part of him wants her to bring it up, but that's overshadowed quickly. More pressing matters come first, such as the fact that they are in his room. And they haven't been caught. The odds of this all working out perfectly seems low, but as far as he can tell no one had seen or heard their dramatic entrance. Well, supposedly at least, for all he knows Izawa is already on his way to Heights Alliance just to knock on Izuku's door and bust the whole operation down. Knowing Izawa, he'd put more blame on Ochako for being in his room after hours. Which would mean she'd get the worst of it, and he could not have that. That isn't even the worst outcome either. Iida just has to catch wind of this and he'd give the class a full-on lecture about breaking dorm rules. Then, Mina finds out it was Ochako and himself, and the rumors start. Ochako would then have to deal with that as well, even more problems caused by him. All because he had been careless and didn't check the tea. Deku, come. His eyes shoot up. Is he panting? Ochako. Right, she is here, and she looks incredibly concerned. Of course, she would be concerned. Here he is, basically hyperventilating, and not answering her. Wait, did she just ask him a question? Deku. It was amazing. He suddenly whispers, unsure of himself, and still probably talking too loud, the way you had to calculate that jump, in the rain nonetheless. Also while carrying me, and how fast you did it too. It was just so awesome, Uraraka. You really saved me, again. I'm sorry you had to. There is a long moment of silence, and it stretches on and on until he starts to feel uncomfortable from the uncertainty of her response. He looks down, and that's when he realizes he's backed himself up against his wall. He is still sitting on the floor, but the edge of his carpet turns into the hardwood floor of the dormitory. He tenses. He doesn't remember moving back like this. Even as he's quick to ask himself when he'd gotten into this position, he finds the answer is lost on him. His sight is still something he can process, however, so he chooses to make the mistake of looking up at Ochako. She seems terrified. No, not terrified, concerned, and worried, and a list of other synonyms he can't think of at the moment. Her eyes pierce through his, and for some reason, he swears they are reading his every thought. His every emotion, his every fear and every anxiety. He feels weird, nervous. No, it's more like shame. She's looking for answers in his brain and yet he doesn't have them. He is acting strange and yet he can't explain why, not even to himself. What is he doing? Nothing crazy had happened. He is physically fine. And yet it feels as if his throat has been glued shut. He closes his eyes, hard, and opens them to a waning pain. Right as he does, he looks up and finds her gaze again. There's that twinkle once more. It shouldn't exist. It makes no sense. Sense. The room is dark. The only light is coming from outside where the moon and the street lamps combined into a dim bluish glow. It outlines her figure but certainly shouldn't be able to reach her eyes. Though, he supposes the shine is smaller than before. She is smaller as well. His back rocks into the wall behind him. There's a bit of a give as he pushes. Looking around shows him a much wider view of his room than he had before. From his bed to his dresser, even All Might's face plastered on the wall shines from a different angle. He'd put just about every single inch of space possible between himself and Ochako. She's still pressed against the glass of his balcony, and he is now firmly pressed against his door. He hadn't even realized it was a subconscious thing. Had he stumbled or something? Slowly, he slides up against the door, only for Ochako to instantly walk forward. If his breathing had been strained before, it is certainly constricting now. He feels so nervous and scared. The hollow breath he sucks in leaves his body with a shudder. It doesn't make sense. No, this is his room. He should feel comfortable. This is Ochako. He should feel comfortable. And yet, as she walks toward him, he feels like he needs an excuse. Some sort of explanation. What could he say? How could he explain his erratic behavior? The question creeps upon him with each step she makes. He knows he looks insane. He just needs to calm down and breathe. If only he could. She reaches him, and almost immediately he notices her wet hair. His jacket, draped over her shoulders, is damp from the rain. And her body, shivering ever so slightly. The struggle to breathe suddenly becomes easier to ignore. His own worries could wait. Ochako came first. Uraraka. You're soaking wet. I'm so sorry. Deku, please just. I'm sure I have an extra sweatshirt you can wear. He turns towards his closet before she grabs his arm and stops him mid-turn. Ura. Just stop for a minute. He turns back and immediately notices the buildup of tears glossed over her eyes. Nothing falls, however. She stays holding his arm, looking right at him. Him. He breathes, ragged, afraid he had upset her and done something wrong. Her grip loosens, and her eyes fall for a moment before they lift back up and he feels her hand leave his arm completely. I'm worried about you, Deku. Oh, so that was it, he is making her worried. No, no, he can't have that. The last thing he wants is for her to worry. For her to think he is struggling, or be afraid on his behalf. No, no, he is blessed. There is no reason for her to worry. None whatsoever. I'm totally fine, Uraraka, I promise. You are making her worried. The floor of his room has never felt colder. Even as the soft carpet envelopes his feet, he shivers as the chill from the air conditioning passes by him. Over and over as her words repeat in his mind, his breathing picks up speed. He tries to steady it, tries to push it down. This feeling is so familiar. But this doesn't happen to him, not anymore. Why now? He can never just be normal, and now when it matters most his useless composure is breaking. Maybe it is just the rain that still clings to his skin. Not an attack, just the chill from the rain. Maybe that is why he shivers. But he is so cold, and he knows what that means. It's uncomfortable, and with each passing second, it gets worse. Thick, heavy breaths. None of this makes any sense as he rolls it all through his mind. Don't let her see you like this. Fight it, he shifts, and his breath hitches as his knee brushes against her leg. She is still there and she has gotten so close. An awkward struggle to swallow his spit ensues as he tries to handle her vicinity. He repeats in his mind, don't move, don't bump her again, don't screw anything up even more. More. But her closeness is also a source of warmth. She leans into his body ever so slightly, and while he should have short circuited, he lets out a breath he hadn't known he was holding. He's been spiraling. He is spiraling, but just for a moment, he leans into her. He needs to calm down. To breathe. I want to be strong enough so no one will worry about me. Izuku's mind rings true and clear as his rationality disappears. He leans back again, away from her warmth, back into the cold, as the thought hits him like a truck. That goal echoes loud in his mind, a constant beacon of his desire to just exist without being helpless. When he first came to Ua and was given one for all, it all seemed like a new start. Like just maybe he could reach that dream of his. And yet at every opportunity, he's leaned on others, he's worried others, he's done nothing but prove to himself that he was never meant to do any of this. His body was never fit for one for all. Every time he's tried to make the quirk his own, he loses control. And better yet, he hurts the ones around him that he cares for so much. Ochako, how many times is she going to have to save him from himself? How many times will he lose control of his quirks, and how many times will she have to catch him when he falls? How many more times can he lean on her before she realizes he is a lost cause? Why is it all so hard? He was given a gift, a chance he was never supposed to have, and he is so incredibly privileged. The best hero course that Japan has to offer, All Might of All People teaches him. How many times will he have to fail for him to realize he only got this far because of other people? Ochako, Ochako. Without her, he would be dead on the ground. But why him? Why did she feel the need to share her points back in the entrance exams? Why would she risk herself and her chance to be a hero for a kid who blew his arm off every other day? Why is she standing in front of him now, reaching out to him, trying to save him? He knows the answer. Because that is Ochako, a hero, a real one. That's why she's at Ua. That's why everyone is. They are all heroes. But isn't he as well? Is he truly not good enough? Even with one for all. Even with all might. Even with Ua, with all of the blessings and gifts he's been given. With all the progress he's made. Why can't he be that hero too? If. If only she knew how lucky he's been. How much a blessing his entire life has been. Maybe if she knew, she wouldn't have to waste her time worrying. She may finally understand that he doesn't deserve all of this extra energy, that she doesn't need to waste her time on him. Yeah, yeah, that's it. Tell her the truth. Truth. It is that simple. Uraraka, I need you to know that. Soft skin grazes against his neck before traveling down to his back. Two hands seem to grab tufts of his shirt's fabric before he feels the arms they're connected to close in. There's pressure, but a nice pressure. The warming sensation her closeness had brought suddenly returns. His breath hitches as he feels the gentle tickle of her hair hit the bottom of his chin. It's only a few seconds before his brain starts processing everything. He feels her. Her body presses into his so tightly. Worse, he can tell his breathing is picking up again. Everything makes no sense until he looks down and finally puts together that she is embracing him. His body freezes, but her warmth works wonders to thaw him. In his mind, a mental battle of decisions. Does he hug her back? It would be weird not to, he wants to, but how can he touch her like that without crossing a boundary? He already feels like he is, but they are so close, and he can feel her pushing her forehead into the bottom of his neck. The sting of tears rushes up from his heaving chest. He is going to cry. Really, Deku? He blinks hard and brings his arms up. They fall unceremoniously around her shoulders. The jacket is still damp. Yet against all odds, she feels like a burning campfire in the middle of a snowstorm. For a second he leans further into the embrace, his arms encapsulating her figure. He clings to her. His finger brushes over her back as he returns the hug, and his mind falters once more as he feels the outline of her bra through the cloth. Stop crying, Deku. Now he has to be making her uncomfortable. He knows it, grabbing her like that, crying here like a child, and for what? Why does he have to be so emotional? He's just making it all worse. Heroes are not supposed to cry, Deku. No, 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 that is wrong. He can hear Todoroki speaking in the back of his mind, telling him he is wrong and that it's okay for him to cry. Cry. But not now. Not here. Not with her. She's already worried and now he is just digging himself deeper. Making it worse. He needs to stop. Stop it, stop it, just. Stop crying, Deku. Tell her. Tell her about one for all. Tell her the secret. Show her she doesn't need to do this for him. He has enough blessings already. He doesn't deserve all of this. He doesn't deserve her. He doesn't. No. No, 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 no. 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 I. Dot 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 dot. He breaks. Deku. Are you ALR Deku? Quote dot. He collapses, falling forward in a fit of short and rapid breaths. His hands grab and claw at his chest, which tightens with each attempt for air. Front of him, he hears her crying out. What's going on? What's wrong? Are you okay? He shakes his head, again, and again, and again, and he cries through gritted teeth. She can't be here. She can't see this. Pressure pummels down on his chest, tightening and constricting as the seconds pass. He tries to breathe, but the air is thick and his throat is closing in on itself. He swallows. That only makes it worse. He grunts in between breaths and his hands now pound on his chest in strangled, violent bursts. Deku, please just look at me. Please, tell me what's wrong. I want to help you. The pulling in his head forces his eyes to snap shut. He shakes, violently, still gasping for air and grabbing at his chest. It's sinking, pulling in on itself, and it hurts. He wants it to stop. He wants it to go away. He wants to be normal. He wants to reach out to her and cry, but he can't. He won't let her in. She needs to leave. He's falling and this time she cannot catch him. No, she has to let him fall. And if she doesn't, he isn't Deku. He isn't a hero. He isn't anybody but the same quirkless kid that did nothing but cry and moan when life didn't go his way. He won't accept that. He won't let himself rely on anyone else. Not anymore. With one last desperate kick of energy, he forces his hands up and tries to push her away. He uses as much as his body lets him, but nothing. She catches his arms as they try and swat her away. Even as he attempts to save her one last time, she won't budge. Instead, she easily overpowers him, and his arms fall limp to her touch. Time jumps around him. His world feels blurry. Around and around his eyes wander around the mess, but like always they eventually fall back onto Ochako. She stands there, beautiful, scared, worried. Both of her hands come forward and cradle his head, her palms rest on either side of his face, and her fingers sink into his messy locks of hair. He shuts his eyes again, trying to rip his head away from her grip, but she holds strong. She leans in, and suddenly their foreheads are connected, and she's forcing him to look directly at her. No, not again. Not this time. He doesn't deserve her help. He doesn't want her help. But her eyes, those damned eyes, they force their way past his mask and look through him. Every lie, every excuse, they all crumble away at one small glance. He can't let her help him. But that twinkle, it's still there, and it's highlighting a pure look of fear in Ochako's eyes. A look of horror at what she sees. Scared, trembling, but strong in her words. She begs him, please Izuku. He feels it lift off him. The weight of the world, the expectations, the guilt, it all drifts away. Away. Tears start streaming down his face. Endless cascading tears, falling and falling in the face of pure terror in front of him. She cares. She cares so much and it just breaks him once more. He doesn't know what it is, and he doesn't know why it is either, but he can tell. Somehow he can just tell. Tell. It hits him like a bullet train. Hard, fast, passing him by before he even realizes it. She knows. She understands. She cares. He gives in relaxing his body. He leans into the dread and finally lets her catch him. His face contorts and he cries out in anguish. His breathing refuses to steady as he starts to hyperventilate. Worse than before, fast and strong gasps fill the small space between their faces. He looks at her with scared and pleading eyes. It's okay. Hey, Aizuku, it's okay. He falls forward faster than he can realize, crashing into her body and arms like a ragdoll. She cradles his face into the divot of her neck, but the rapid breaths only seem to worsen. He feels her arms holding him, and he leans into her embrace. Try and breathe, okay. Take deep breaths. He tries. He tries so hard, but it doesn't work. No matter how much he slows down, his body doesn't stop screaming at him to let air in. Again, and again, and again he gasps for relief. He feels her pull him back and hold his shoulders. Please, you're scaring me, Izuku. Listen to me, please just breathe, copy me please. His blurry eyes watch her chest. It rises, then down, slowly matching the pace of her mouth as she breaths. In, and out. His head swims as he copies her movement. He brings his breath in slowly, and he releases it all the same. His breathing slows. Like that. Deep breaths. Just like that. I'm right here. He keeps copying her, looking at her chest, at her mouth, at her eyes. They tell him everything is going to be okay. A soft feeling travels down his back. She's hugging him once more, this time moving him with her. Come on. Sit back. Just relax. Keep breathing. You're okay. She brings him across the floor and props the both of them up against his bed frame. His hair pushes back into her neck. The feeling momentarily snaps him back, and he starts to grab at the carpet around him, trying to ground himself the best he can. But her hand intertwines with his before he has to do any more. I'm here. I'm here. You don't have to worry. I'm right here. His breathing finally starts to stabilize. Under his breath, small apologies ramble out. Insecurities and anxieties flash through his mind as he begins to realize what a burden he is being. But his head is swimming, and he's so tired. Tired. His mind is slipping, but behind him is still Ochako, and their hands squeeze together with a comforting pressure. She leans forward, and she whispers deeply into his hair. Shish, you have nothing to apologize for. It's okay. You're okay. I'm here. Dot 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 dot. I'm not gonna leave you. When his eyes open, he is met with a sea of darkness. The rigid wood of his bed frame is digging into his back. The thin training shirt he has on, still damp from the rain, creases as he leans against it for support. On his right, Ochako holds him. Her arms are wrapped around his body, and he can feel their skin pressed together at each point of contact. He shivers, the sweat dripping down his neck makes the air a bit cooler. Her body is warm though, so he curls into it as much as he can. His mind scrambles as he tries to make sense of it all. Everything seems to blend in front of him. The darkness of his room is that much more pronounced, and even his bright carpet disappears in shades of black and blue. Blue, desolate and frightening, the invisible abyss beckons him to join. The touch of her skin, however, is as clear as day. A soft light illuminating next to him, an oasis of clarity in his darkening confusion. He focuses on it, letting his mind single out the warmth. It's nearly overwhelming, the sensation of her arms and legs intertwining with his own. But he lets it overtake him, drowning out all the unnecessary thoughts clawing at the back of his mind. A visceral swirl of emotions, kicking and thrashing at the prospect of momentary peace. It scares him, truly, yet all the same, he finds it relieving. He can feel her, truly feel her next to him, and that means it's okay. He is okay. Though still, the frost persists, lingering, ever present in the foreground of his mind and body. He can't help but shudder once more as the chill passes over him. Then, Ochako shifts, and with the faintest of whispers, "Are you cold?" Tears well up in his eyes once more, and without thinking, he buries his face into her shoulder. It's barely a response, but he hums in a low tone. He is cold, he doesn't feel like ignoring it anymore. He's far too tired to try. "I'll get us sweatshirts, if that's okay." He hums again and forces himself to sit up slightly, and then in a low tone, "Second drawer from the bottom, they should fit you too." Ochako stands up slowly, and he watches her tentatively. Her fingers lose their grip on his arm, and her legs detangle with his. A pit in his stomach forms. She walks forward and the horrible feeling only grows. He remembers the last time he felt like this. It was so long ago, back in middle school, when he was crying in his room over the hero course applications. Writing "Ua" on the first line, breaking down as he realized how stupid it all was. How everyone in the class would have an actual chance at their schools, and how he might as well have been writing a fantasy novel. It's that feeling again. That loneliness. That despair just eats up inside. Why is it happening now? He can see Ochako right in front of him. He watches as her feet move across his carpet. She is right there. "I'm here. You don't have to worry." He replays those words over and over and over and over, holding on to them like a crutch. She is here. She said so herself. She is here. He isn't alone. Not anymore. He looks down at his leg and watches as it bounces unceremoniously. His chest tightens, uncomfortable and painful. He misses her. He wants to hug her again. He wants to feel her next to him. "Izuku, I'm here. I told you I'm not gonna leave you." Right in front of him, she stands. Her eyes are close to his. She leans in, smiling, and then leans back slightly. Even in the darkness, he can see her so clearly. He registers that she's started calling him by his first name. It's so foreign, but familiar in a way he cannot explain. The way she says it, "Izuku," it bounces around his head. She used it before, and she's using it now. He likes it. It's so hard not to reach out to her. Instead, his eyes travel down her face to her lips, then to her shoulders, and then to the clean sweatshirts she's holding in her arms. All Might themed, of course. "Here, T, take off your shirt, it's all wet." Ochako whispers. It's only a small hiccup of embarrassment that washes over him before his tired mind takes over. Over. He leans forward and slowly peels the wet undershirt off. Ochako grabs it towards the end and places it on her side. outside, he's slipping the warm fabric over his head within a few seconds. That warmth feels nice, even if he hasn't showered from the training. Just being in clean clothes helps. He can't tell if it's the warmth from the clothes or his small moment of embarrassment, but he can feel his face get warmer. He looks forward. Ochako's still so close. She must notice, as her eyes quickly fall and she retreats slightly. Sorry, that was. It's okay. Thank you. Izuku responds quickly, trying his best to ensure her. Thankfully, it seems to work. The small smile on her face relaxes his detailed mind. His breathing is still heavy, but it's slowed down. He's calmer now. Calm because of her. She makes it okay. He repeats it once more. I'm here. You don't have to worry. It's hard not to stare as she slips off his jacket, revealing her bare arms and exposed shoulders. Nothing that would have ever made him hesitate before, but she is so close right now, and he feels like he's intruding. He forces himself to look down just as she begins putting the other sweatshirt on. He can hear her sigh as she slips the yellow-colored hoodie over her head. A glance up and he sees that he was right. It does fit her, though maybe a little loose. More importantly, she seems better than before, no longer cold. He's glad. A moment of silence befalls them and Izuku can only think of whether Ochako's going to hug him again or if she is going to leave. It's stupid. He knows it is, but he finds himself craving her comfort with each passing second. And as that time goes on he starts to realize that it isn't so much the cold that had been bothering him so much. No, it was the lack of her presence. Against his better judgment, he almost asks her that very question. But his mental quarrel is paused as he feels her arms wrap around his body. The relief that follows seems nearly absurd. He leans into the embrace, sighing deeply into her warm arms. Gee, thank you. He quietly speaks, desperately trying to show his gratitude. Gratitude. He feels the urge to cry rise and then subside with each breath. She hums into his hair, just as quietly, always. He doesn't know how long they sit like that. It could have been a few minutes, maybe an hour. All he knows for certain is that his mind focuses on nothing but the girl that embraces him so tightly. He doesn't want it to. He's afraid to let it wander, but he can feel her gently squeeze her arms around him and that's enough. He focuses on that, and that alone. Alone. It's a while until either of them speaks. They let the silence of his room simply exist for as long as it can. But with each passing minute, and as he calms down, the urge to disrupt the silent noise comes with a beckoning call. The rain pouring outside, hard, fast, it pummels the ground and splashes in the puddles of its own creation. Its echoing cries sneak up on the serenity of the room, a light tension following its sound. Ochako takes the plunge first. Her voice, hesitant, comes muffled from the thicker fabric of his sweatshirt. Do you want to talk about it? The question lingers for what seems like ages. He rolls it around his mind. The looming topic creeps around them even as their gentle embrace subdues the panic. Talk about it, he finds it hard to categorize what it even refers to. His breakdown, or the part before that, when he ran from her across the room. Or perhaps, she means the truth. Whatever that is, he sits up slightly, and Ochako follows. He owes an explanation, something at least. But he doesn't want what happened before. She saw through that, and she knows him better than that. He doesn't want to lie this time. Different than before. Tell the truth. I don't know how to. It feels stupid saying out loud, but that's the truth, his truth. He has no idea how to talk about it. He has no idea how to even think about it. And what frightens him more than anything? The harrowing realization that he has no clue what is wrong with him. Is there anything wrong with him? Clearly, he isn't that naive. These panic attacks have been happening since he was young. They started before, back when he was quirkless. Ochako's hands reach out and grab his arms. They awkwardly shift around until they are sitting cross-legged facing each other. Knees touching, leaning forward so their eyes can make each other out in the darkness of his room. She breathes, deeply, before letting her head fall ever so slightly. Her eyes linger on his arms, on his scarred and battered arms. She gently grips them, being careful not to accidentally make him float. Two of her fingers pinch the end of his sleeve, and she glances up at him looking for permission. He nods, unsure of what she even wants to do, but trusting in her regardless. Regardless, as she slowly rolls up the sleeve of his sweatshirt, he feels a deep shame rise from within him. The same shame he felt when his mother had seen his scars up close for the first time, or when the doctor had told him the dangers of straining them any further. A similar shame he feels every time someone else worries about him. An unpleasant warmth sprouts from inside that he can't seem to shake no matter how hard he tries. He can tell that Ochako is the type to worry about them. Ochako is the type to care. He's seconds away from telling her that they don't hurt, that they aren't as bad as they look, but he promptly loses all train of thought as her padded fingers begin lightly tracing them. She brings her hand underneath the upper part of his sleeve and gently caresses the big patched scar on the side of his bicep. Her fingers travel down, tracing each bump and callus as she goes. Once she reaches his forearm, she holds his wrist in both of her palms and slowly outlines the rips and tears. He shudders at her light touch, and as she reaches his palm, her hand slowly encapsulates his, squeezing softly. Sorry, she whispers. It's okay, you don't have to apologize. The faint chuckle that escapes her mouth hints at the irony of his words. He guesses it's fitting, using the same words she had comforted him with. Silence once again overtakes them, but this time the sound of Ochako's breathing cuts through the nothingness. It comes out slightly raspy, almost as if she's trying to find the strength to continue speaking. I want to show you something, if it's okay with you. She says suddenly, sounding more nervous than he can ever remember her being. Vulnerability surrounds each of her words, there's even a slight shake to her voice as she speaks. A piece deep inside him is nervous, but he finds it increasingly difficult to care as he stares at her face. His mind is already so drained, why be nervous when Ochako is right in front of him? Of course, why you can trust me. Gee, this might be a bit embarrassing. She leans back a bit, reaching her hand down towards her stomach. Just, promise me you'll listen, and don't overreact, okay? He nods before his mind can wander too far, I promise. She hesitates, and then slowly pulls up the hem of her sweatshirt. He's no longer cold, he can feel the warmth radiating off of his face. She's exposing her stomach, and while it's dark and hard to see, he watches as she traces a rough patch of skin. It travels to the left of her belly button, down, and she shifts a bit as she tugs at the waistband of her track pants. The rough skin expands wider as she uncovers it further. It dips down, tracing her lower stomach's V shape. He almost looks away, but she grips his hand and it freezes him in place. It's okay. Her voice is low and airy. She brings his hand closer to her stomach. Why you can feel it, I want you to. Swallowing hard, his eyes lock onto her stomach. Nerves and tension bubble from within him, but he bites his lower lip and lets her guide him. With a shaking hand, he reaches out and grazes the scar. It feels callous, yet soft. The ripples of skin run over his fingers with a sense of deep familiarity. Just like his, it's delicate in only a way he can realize. It reminds him of the patched scar he has on the side of his bicep. The skin itself may feel rough, but he hesitates as he travels its wave-like texture, knowing just how delicate the nerves can be. As he follows the scar down, he accidentally brushes over her lower stomach, and Ochako shudders. He almost pulls away, but before he can she grabs his hand and presses it further onto the scar. She breathes in, before her hand intertwines with his once more and squeezes. I haven't shown this to anyone, only recovery girl. I didn't bring it up when it happened. I got it, back in the joint training exercise we did. When your quirk, her voice trails off, low, quiet. He breathes in through his nose, and out through his mouth. Tempered, controlled, steady, his hand feels warm in her grasp. The snap of Black Whip flashes through his mind. Their screams of confusion and terror ring in his ears. The way she had jumped on him, the explosion of Black Whip must have hurt her enough to cause this. Her belt covered it well, so he didn't realize it at the time, but he scared her. No matter how much he had told himself that it was okay that day, he knew deep down that he had hurt her. He should have better checked on her at the time. And now, he's seeing the consequences. For him being unprepared, for him being unfit for one for all. He did this. He hurt her. Him. Izuku Midoriya. Deku. The hero. She seemingly senses his inner conflict, because as soon as the thought runs through his mind she's moving closer and holding his shoulder. His eyes shift from their hands to her face. She's staring at him with a knowing look. I thought you promised not to overreact. Shame rises in him. I know. I'm not showing this to you because I want you to feel guilty. Her eyes travel back down to her stomach, and she lazily pulls down her sweatshirt to recover the scar. And I don't want you thinking you did this, because you didn't. Her eyes drill through his mask once more. Izuku. Listen to me, you didn't do this. Quote dot. He almost backs off, but then he remembers his earlier resolve. He needs to tell her, to be truthful, no more masks that she has to peer through. But I did. It's my quirk. I wasn't prepared. That would never have happened if my body was right for. One for all. He catches himself. He was about to say one for all. He goes silent, clamping his mouth shut and hoping to the gods that she doesn't probe him for more answers. A part of him wishes she would. He remembers from earlier before he had broken down. He almost told her then. It would be easier. It's hard to dance around the root of all of his issues. But can he really tell her? Should he? He catches her gaze and can tell she wants to ask him about it, but she stays silent, doesn't force him to continue talking, and right then he thinks that maybe she truly deserves to know. No, I. His mouth starts moving, desperately trying to fill the silence. I'm sorry, I am so sorry. He flinches at his own words, afraid of what she will say. He shouldn't be apologizing, but he doesn't know what else to do. How else can he convey how he feels? But when he looks at her, she is still. Her face hasn't moved. All she does is look at him with those same eyes. Gentle, caring, concerned. Silently, she dismisses his apologies. You know why I hid it. She speaks soft and firm to him. Why I didn't show it before. Why I kept it a secret from everyone, even my parents. It's because I didn't want anyone to worry, and I didn't want you to blame yourself. Dot dot dot. Guilt is such a strange sensation. He doesn't even understand it, but the feeling is ever present as she speaks. She'd done the same thing he'd been doing, and now he feels like the biggest idiot in the world. He didn't want her worrying about him, but he was the one worrying about her, and he'd just proved her right. He blamed himself, just like she predicted. He tries to speak, to get something out, but he's at a loss of words. He wants to call out to her. He wants to reach out to her, but his body is frozen in place by her soft gaze. I wanted to show you now because I understand that feeling. One of her hands comes up and runs through her long bangs. Her smirk is riddled with sadness. When I was younger, my parents used to put on these smiles in front of me. I'd hear them crying over money in the next room, and then the next minute my mother would walk in like nothing was wrong. She'd smile for me, but I knew it was fake. I used to tell them about my dreams of going to UA, and they'd smile, but I knew deep inside they were worrying about how much it would cost. So I blamed myself. I knew they were pretending for me, and I knew how hard it must have been, so I thought I was the problem. Instinctually, his hands reach out and grab her shoulder, pulling her in for a hug. He doesn't know where it comes from. He doesn't know how he moves, but he sees tears in her eyes and he just does. And she leans into him all the same, burying her face deep into his neck and sniffling. They shift around once more, sitting side to side so they can be closer to each other. Ochako continues. One day, I think around a year before the entrance exams, I told them I knew. I think they'd always known that I knew about the money issues, but they never talked about it with me. They always kept that stuff to themselves, even if it was obvious. She turns her head up towards him, and the tears falling down her face are matched with a light chuckle. Yeah. No, UA wasn't even in my top 5 schools. I never even considered it, always thought it'd be too much money. When I told my parents, they told me they'd been saving for my schooling since I was young. From the moment I told them of my dream, they made sure I could live it, no matter how tight things got. Her breath comes out shaky, and the rippled air tugs at his heart. He leans into her even more, hugging her as she calms down. Your parents sound like amazing people. People, she sniffles, they are. I don't think you were ever a burden to them, he explains, confident in his words. They love you, and they sacrificed things to help you. Yeah, she rubs her eyes. I know that now. That's why I ended up applying to UA. I realized they weren't suffering because of me. They were suffering for me, and I couldn't let that all be for nothing. Dot dot dot. She's lived up to that. It hasn't been all for nothing, not for her. He wishes he could say the same for himself, but so far it feels like all he's done is lean on other people. Ochako's become a hero of her own, and he's still just the useless Deku who can't do anything without other people helping. They deserve better. One for All deserves better, and Ochako deserves better. Better. Guilt still riddles him. He knows this isn't fair. Ochako asked him to speak, but now she's the one opening up. He needs to share. He needs to talk to her, and he needs to get past this fear. But how? How does he say anything truthful that isn't a loose attempt at hiding what is real? Real. And how does he tell her he's not good enough without her understanding why he's not good enough? He wouldn't be here without One for All. He has to be good enough for One for All and everyone that's counting on him. He was quirkless. He was given this chance, and he's taken it for granted every step of the way. This time, his breath shakes as it leaves his body. You haven't let it all be for nothing. She sighs, glancing up at him, but you have. His eyes close tight. She won't ever understand without knowing. Listen, it's either I'm making people worried, or I'm hurting people. And whenever I'm not doing one of those things, I'm leaning on everyone for help. All Might. The class. You. I'm an idiot for thinking I could change, that I could be a hero strong enough to live this dream. Dream. What are you? I'm saying I'm useless by myself. Ochako's breath comes out in a huff. You're not, Izuku. How do you know? He asks, daring in his tone. His voice comes out strangled. Why you don't? Quote dot. If you're useless then what am I? Her words cut him off. Sharp with their honesty. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for my parents. If it wasn't for you saving me in the entrance exam. So am I useless? I don't think I am. And I know you're not. It's different for you, he mumbles, shaking his head, refusing to hear her. I was quirkless. The pivotal word, the label he was given as a child, was the root of all of his problems. Izuku Midoriya was born quirkless. He wants to say it. He wants to scream it from the top of his lungs, but how would it sound? His entire life he's been quirkless, so why is it so difficult for him to admit it now? He doesn't want her to pity him, he just wants her to know the truth. The truth behind his power, the truth behind his failures, the truth behind him. It would be so much easier if she knew. Knew. At this point, she deserves to know. Ochako deserves the truth. She deserves to know. He can't do this anymore. Quote dot dot dot. I was given my quirk. By all might. This isn't my power. He says it as if he's dropping a bomb. Fast. He lets it go and it falls below them, crashing into the ground. He expects something to happen, for her to say something, but no. There is no explosion, no scream of terror, just a long moment of silence. The aftermath, without the destruction. Then it hits him. He's messed up, there is no turning back. He's come clean with yet another person. One more loved one he's put in danger and dragged into his life of expectation. Slowly he creeps his neck up and finds her gaze. She's confused, he can tell, but at the same time, it looks like she's expected it all. She couldn't have known, and yet he can tell she had realized something, and now it's just been confirmed. What does she think? She must feel cheated and betrayed to have been lied to this long. Katsuki felt that way, right? To know that his power isn't his own, that nothing about him is actually Izuku Midoriya, but the hard work of someone else. He's shaking, pulling his eyes away from her in a frenzy, trying to salvage his previous normality. But he can't take it back. He's gone too far, and now she holds every right to judge him. Her voice is cracking in front of him, stuttering out his name, trying to find something to say. He can just tell that she's thinking about how horrible a person he is. Her fantasy of him is crumbling. He's been lying to her all this time, and she finally realizes it. He grips the bottom of his sweatshirt, wishing he could disappear, wishing she would just say something. And finally, she speaks. Why does that matter? What? Her hands are coming closer, resting on his face and holding his gaze up at her. He looks into her eyes for the millionth time that night, and they look as comforting and endless as ever. Infinite hazel pools, begging him to understand, begging him to see himself the way she does. But he can't. How can he? How does it not matter? Not knowing what else to do, he stumbles on. I was quirkless my whole life. It was only a year before the entrance exams. All Might spoke to me after Kachan got attacked by that slug villain. He said he saw something in me, said his quirk was special, that he could give it to me. He trained me for a year, and on the day of the exams he gave it to me. He rambles, and just spills his entire secret to Ochako as she listens intently. Her palms caress his face in a way that just pulls it out of him. He can't stop. I'm the reason All Might lost his power. It's called One for All. It's been going on for years and years. Generations pass it down, and its purpose is to stop All for One. But I wasn't the right choice. I wasn't. Quote dot. She tries to interject. He can hear her voice, but he doesn't stop. Whatever training I had, whatever training I do, it's not enough. That's why I broke my arms and legs all those times. This power isn't meant for me, and now. We figured out the previous holder's quirks are manifesting in me of all people. It's why we train every night. With your quirk, because All Might's master could fly, and I need to prepare myself, but I can't even get that right. Izuku, listen to me. I couldn't control Black Whip. I hurt you because I wasn't meant for this. You are. I'm not. Ochako. I am quirkless. That's who I am. I was never meant to have this power. He can see her go silent. She's practically crying for him to stop. Her face is red with anger. He closes his eyes, fearful of seeing her reaction, afraid it will make him stop. She's angry at him, angry at his actions, angry at his words. Good. He deserves it. Everything I do, everything I've done, I've relied on someone else. And the one thing I thought I had made my own, my quirk, I lost control of. That proves I was the wrong choice. I hurt the people I love, I hurt myself, and no matter how hard I try, I can't stop. I am such an idiot for thinking I could come here and stand next to all of you, forever thinking I could be a hero. He's breathing heavily as he stops. Long, deep breaths. He pulls back and her hands fall slowly from his face. He can hear her crying. Softly, barely audible, but her breathing is shaky and she sniffles, and he knows. She's crying and it urges him to just stop, to tell her he's sorry, to take it all back. But he can't. He's finally done it. She finally knows the truth, his truth, and it feels horrible. He wants to disappear. He wants to scream. He wants to die. He wants it all to just end. Her voice rips through the air. Don't you ever say that again. He forces his eyes open, and what once was a comforting warmth is now an enraged fire. Burning hot and uncontrolled, molten tears brim the flames. It's not even anger, just a pure look of disgust. Disgust. Disgust at his words, disgust at his self-deprecation, disgust at him. It frightens him. He cowers back into himself as her rage towers over him. He's never seen Ochako look like this. He leans back on his palms and rips his gaze away from her. Izuku. Her words are coated with anger. Look at me. He doesn't listen. He can't listen to her. He shuts his eyes tighter and blocks her out. He can't see her like that. He can't stand her being upset with him. She must launch at him the second he does, for her body is suddenly on top of his, pinning his arms and forcing him to look directly at her. He doesn't even realize it until his eyes open out of complete shock. Outside, lightning flashes and illuminates the room around them. Her silhouette in the blue light shakes as tears well up in her eyes. The crack of the thunder that follows rattles his room, and it brings his attention to her. Her gaze sucks him in again, and once more they are locked on each other. Unbreakable, direct, they stare in an unspoken conversation. Ochako pleads, and his mirrored reflection in her brown eyes shines back at him. Izuku runs, unable to look away, trying his hardest to shut her out, to no avail. Her tears roll down her nose and drip onto his cheek. The more she blinks, the more fall. Her mouth strangles to speak the words behind her stare. Why, you are amazing. Izuku, you have no idea how incredible you are. All he can do is stare up at her. Her tears round her words and yet they still stab at his heart. Oh Ocha, from the first day I met you, I've wanted to be like you. Her voice cracks as she strains each word, and more tears land on his face, so don't say that. You've always been the standard. You are an amazing hero. You're my hero. Quote dot. How? He asks, genuine in his plea, how can I be a hero to you? Her eyes close for a brief moment before she snaps them open and there glimmer all but screams sincerity. You make me want to be as good as you. From the moment you saved me from that robot, everything you've done has inspired me to be better. But he's moving upward, leaning on his elbows now. You inspire me. The only reason I'm here, the only reason I was at that exam is because of One for All, because of All Might. Without him, without this quirk, I'm nothing and even with it I can't do anything That's bullshit. Oh, One for All, your quirk. You said All Might gave it to you, so why? Why did he choose you? He knows the real answer, and he knows her argument, but he ignores it all the same and lets the grueling nightmare take over, chose me out of pity. I wasn't his first choice, it was supposed to be Tagata. He was supposed to be the one who got this power, he is supposed to be the one who fulfills this destiny. I should have given it to him after the Shihasaki raid, he deserves it more than I do. Her confused glare once again shakes him. Pity. Izuku, you of all people should know who All Might is, he would never do that. I don't understand all of this that much, I don't know everything, but if All Might, the All Might, chose you to have his power then he made the right choice. Quote dot. Why you don't know? I know he had a reason, and I know you know that too. But the tears in his eyes sting as they fall back on his face. It doesn't matter. It's me. I know it is have been the issue this entire time, from the moment I got one for all I've been struggling. I'm not good enough. My body isn't right for this quirk. I was the wrong choice, even if All Might thinks he made the right one. Ochako's mouth strains as she shifts her weight back. I don't know how to make you see. Something inside her snaps. He can see it in her expression. Her eyes dart around his room, before landing on his desk in front of them. She gets off of him in a frenzy. Where is it? I know you keep them here. Finding the strength, he rolls over and sits up. Hey, what are you doing? Rummaging through his desk, she opens drawer after drawer, before she seemingly finds what she is looking for. She grabs a short stack of letters, and turns around with wide eyes and a tearful smile. If you were the wrong choice, then what are these? Envelopes. She opens one and hastily pulls out the card. He knows what it is. His head shakes as he wipes away his tears. Why you don't have tea? This one's from Coda. Dear Mr. Midoriya. Her tearful smile brings a sense of shame to his psyche. Thank you for saving me even though you barely knew me. How could he ever forget Coda? Ochako turns around and once more rummages through the pile. There's one here from Melissa. This one's from Katsuma and Mahoro. And here, she turns to him holding up a decorated pink and white card, Aries' letter. Time stops as he catches glimpse of the scribbled handwriting. He looks at the card, tears now flowing from his eyes, and he remembers seeing her smile for the first time. To see her smile, a girl who had forgotten what it meant to feel happiness. From how they first found her alone and afraid, to where she has come now, it's brought him a feeling that he can't describe. He helped save her. Even if he couldn't do it alone, he still helped to bring a smile to that little girl. He remembers now the feeling of satisfaction in knowing that he could save someone. How could he ever forget? How could he ever forget the people he saved? Mr. Deku, your dance and singing was very great. Thank you for all the fun. I had fun. The candy apple was yummy. Good luck with your quirk. Her hands fall and so do the letter. She stares at him with red eyes and a loose smile. All these people you've saved. She moves towards him. Her eyes open and infinity reveals itself to him once again. How could you be the wrong choice? Why you said you rely on other people, but we all rely on you, Izuku. Iida talks about how you saved him when his brother got attacked by Stain. You nearly killed yourself helping Todoroki at the sports festival. And without you, I wouldn't even be here. You're a hero to everyone you meet, everyone you save. If you're the wrong choice, then I don't know what the right one is. Quote. It's an ethereal feeling, hearing that you're enough. That no matter what happens, you've made some difference. A burning inside that ignites and takes over your entire being, blinding in its pain yet comforting in its warmth. From then on, it's only in flashes. They are brief, but they are clear as they happen. Ochako grabs him and holds him tightly. he squeezes her back. She grabs the sides of his hair and brings his face close to hers. He leans forward into the embrace. He thanks her, over and over, tears flowing from his eyes and clashing with her own, but she shushes him. Shish, she sounds, so close her voice barely rises above a whisper. I don't like it when you hold things in like that. I don't like it when you pretend that you're okay. Suddenly, without much reason, the urge to move a few inches closer and kiss her hits him fast. He sees her infinite eyes scream out with worry and compassion, and all he wants to do is prove to her that he won't take it for granted. Show her how he feels, show her just how much he appreciates her very presence. Promise her that he won't lie, that he won't hold anything back with her, never again. But he doesn't. He catches himself and refuses to let the urge take over him. I promise you. Instead, he brings his hand up and cradles her cheek. I won't do it again. I will never pretend like I'm okay with you. You don't have to promise me anything, Izuku. Her hand lands atop his own against her face. I just want you to know that I'm here. I will always be here for you. You're not alone. It's that moment. The flashes stop and he sees it all in slow motion. Ochako Uraraka, the girl that stands in front of him, causes a waning in his heart as her tears fall and her hands move through his hair. There isn't anything he can do. He tries to hold himself back, but his mind speeds up and he can't help but spill his every thought to her. The only person I had when I was a kid was my mom. And she was there for me, whenever I needed her. She cares so much. Sometimes I wish she didn't. Sometimes I wish no one cared about me. I feel like it would be easier to do this. She responds, it's okay to feel that way. It's okay to not want people to worry about you. But they will. We always will, because we care about you, Izuku. Izuku. And again. I think All Might thinks too highly of me, even if he made the right choice, and deep down I know he did, but sometimes I feel like I'm not as good as he thinks I am and I don't know if I ever will be. She responds, "You're even better than what he thinks, I promise you that." Once more, "What if I'm not good enough?" He repeats it. "What if I'm not good enough, Ochako? What if I can never be a hero worthy of this power? One for all is a massive responsibility, and I don't know if I'm enough to uphold it." She responds, "You are good enough, and even if you for some stupid reason aren't, then why do you have to do it alone? There isn't a rule that says you have to suffer through this by yourself. We are all here for you, Izuku. I'm here for you." Quote dot. You. Quote dot. Ochako hugs him tightly, and Izuku falls into her embrace. The prospect of one more person knowing his secret drifts away. The anxiety of explaining his feelings seems non-existent in her arms. He can worry about all of it another time. In this very moment, he can only feel her arms wrapping around his body. Relief washes over him, cleansing his mind, subduing the torment. He feels the burden of it all slowly lifting off of him. And at that moment, in that second, he thinks maybe it's okay to feel this way. To feel like he isn't good enough. Maybe. He won't ever be good enough. The only thing he knows for certain is that he is the ninth user of One for All, and he holds this responsibility. It's his job to nurture this power, and it's his destiny to be a hero, whether he thinks he's good enough or not. But now, maybe Ochako's right, he doesn't need to do it all alone. Maybe it's okay to lean on people, as long as he can be that person too. There's a comfort in knowing he's not alone. What once frightened him, now puts him at ease. All Might, Aizawa, the class, Ochako, all of these people are here for him and he's been pushing them away. Afraid of what they'd think, afraid of being too big a burden. Not anymore. Her voice is muffled in his neck, but her words are still clear as she speaks. "It's okay to feel this way. You don't have to do it all alone." He has help. He has Ochako. It's not long before they are once again sitting next to one another. This time, it's on his bed, facing the balcony door. Rain and wind still splash against it, the occasional flash of lightning, the following thunder rumbling through the dorms. He's next to her, but still, he can feel that they are there for a long time. It all just passes by. Time moves slowly in a way that makes this moment feel like forever. He can feel it creeping up on him. With each minute that passes by, he can feel the frost come back. It's far past midnight now, not early enough for the sun, but enough to tell that they had been up for far too long. He's so tired, and fittingly, it makes the chill all the more noticeable. She doesn't have to ask this time. "I'm cold, Ochako." The headrest is getting uncomfortable, and with each passing second his eyelids become heavier and heavier. The prospect of sleep is enticing, but Ochako is still here, and they need to figure out how she will get back to her room. But still, sleep subdues his self-control, and he can feel himself nodding off. Without any restraint, he leans into her. Her hair, mostly dry now, is soft like a pillow. Maybe she doesn't have to leave, maybe she can stay with him. Him. It's a dangerous idea, one that is unfair to her and completely selfish, but he relishes the thought of sleeping next to her. Safety and protection, warmth and comfort, he so desperately wants to hold on to her and fall asleep. That thought is also enticing, but acting on it is an entirely different beast. Beast. On top of the countless other issues, he would first have to find the courage to ask her to. Her to. I'll stay with you. Her voice suddenly whispers in his ear, cautious yet confident, if that's okay. As it turns out, he doesn't have to. He's lucky, as he can feel his consciousness slipping, and her body seems to soften as he falls deeper into her grasp. His eyes close, and his mind thinks to hum a small agreement before fully dozing off. Upon hearing it, Ochako slouches down more, holding him closer to her chest. He feels a blanket cover them, the warmth appeases his chill. Right before he lets the drowsiness overtake him, he can hear her murmur something. It's soft, gentle, and airy as it leaves her throat. But what he can make out simply cannot be real. He assumes it's his selfish mind once again playing tricks on him. So he ignores it, and sleep takes him away. What he heard, however, sticks with him. Three small words taunt his brain as he enters the dreamscape, indiscernible yet intriguing. Warmth overtakes him as they play around his mind. Over and over, he relishes the possibilities. Clinging to the ideas, grasping at the fantasies, he falls asleep with Ochako's voice surrounding him, warming him, with three words he can't seem to make out. Words that have no meaning, but sound so beautiful to his sleeping mind. I love you. If only he could understand what that means. Equals 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 dot. Note from an author. Some of the things Izuku says in this may seem a bit out of character or too self-deprecating compared to how he is in canon. But what I was trying to convey is Izuku knows that All Might chose him for a reason, and deep down he understands that he has made one for all his own and is good enough. Enough. But, and if you've ever experienced insecurities, anxiety, and depressive episodes, you'll likely know that it's easy for those thoughts to take over. And with Izuku's panic attacks, I wanted him to express that he was letting those thoughts take over because it was easier than confronting the truth and accepting that he is actually deserving of everything he has. Has. And with Ochako, it was very interesting and fun to explore developing a character without seeing it from their perspective. After shifting from her perspective in the beginning, I had to consciously think about what she is thinking throughout all of this, and it was really a good exercise in developing a character through another character's perspective. Fun fact. Originally I wanted to include Aizawa and Iida in this. I was going to have Iida show up after Izuku's first panic attack, and Ochako convince him to let it go and not report it because Izuku needs help. I also wanted them to have the idea that the cameras they put up somehow couldn't see the sides of the building, but in reality Aizawa watched the whole thing and just let them get away with it because he was amused. LMAO, but I think the decision to keep this 100% between Ochako and Izuku is something I'm happy with. Very originally I wrote this about 1 year ago and it was initially just the Ochako scene at the beginning where she jumps him up to the balcony. Into something I am really proud of. I hope you enjoyed it as well. I have a few things that I'm not totally. But after a while, I balcony. But after a while, I came back to it, rewrote it, and turned it into something I am really proud of. Proud of. I hope you enjoyed it as well. I have a few things that I'm not totally sure I executed perfectly, but I'm still happy with it overall. Thanks for reading. Next thing I post will likely be the next chapter of Cherry Blossom's Fall. That might take me a while though lol. Where stories live. Discover now.